But, let me be as clear as I can be. I intend to end this war. My first day in office, I will bring the Joint Chiefs of Staff in, and I will give them a new mission, and that is to end this war responsibly, deliberately, but decisively. And I have seen no information that contradicts the notion that we can bring our troops out safely at a pace of 1 to 2 brigades per month. And again, that pace translates into having our combat troops out in 16 months' time. So the last point I would just make is that this is the same position that I had 4 months ago. It's the same position that I had 8 months ago. It's the same position that I had 12 months ago. Let me open it up for questions. Richard.
Thank you. The training data that you talked about, can't you get that information in Washington? What cues, what kind of feel would you get in Iraq that you're not getting?
There's no doubt that a lot of this information I've been obtaining in Washington. But I also think that it's important for me to be able to be in discussions directly, not only with commanders, but also Iraqi officials and other leaders in the region.
Sir, your website is very direct on this topic. It says Obama will immediately begin to remove our troops from Iraq. He will remove 1 to 2 combat brigades each month. Do you need to refine that and make it more nuanced, do you think, to reflect what you say you've been saying all along?
I have to say that there's nothing that website says that contradicts what I said here. I will bring this war to a close. I think it is important for us to do strategically. Jeff.
You said this morning that you would consider other information on the ground once you go to Iraq,
yes,
and refine your policies. What did you mean by refine your policies?
I just
refine the 16-month timetable.
No, that's not refine the 16-month timetable. I just referred to, for example, there's been a major debate in terms of how we should structure training for Iraqi military and police. What kinds of troop presences will we need in order for that to occur? What kinds of troop presence do we need to have a counterterrorism strike force in Iraq that assures that Al-Qaeda does not regain a foothold there? Those are all issues that obviously are going to be determined by the facts on the ground.
Sir, do you believe that this will be a challenge explaining to the American people over the next 4 months what you've seems to have had a hard time explaining here in the last 4 hours?
I guess I'm just puzzled. I mean, I'll be frank with you, Jeff. I think what's happened is that the McCain campaign primed the pump with the press to suggest that somehow we were changing our policy when we hadn't, and that was, and that just hasn't been the case. I've given no indication of a change in policy. I haven't suggested that we're moving in a different direction.
You used the term like you intend to end the war. You talked about, is there some sort of maneuvering room or wiggle room there that the public who wants to see the war end and who voted for you on that assumption might feel uncomfortable with? Similarly, in November of 2007, you told you made a comment that you would tell the generals, I guess, what your policy is.
And that is unchanged. That is unchanged. Let me be absolutely clear. As president, I set the mission. This is I was just had an interview with the Military Times yesterday in which I said one of the flaws in the president's approach is to say that he's doing what General Petraeus tells him is the best thing to do. That's not the president's job. The president's job is to tell the generals what their mission is, because you have to take the entire strategic interests of the United States in mind, not just one particular front when it comes to our national interests. And so the mission that I will set for our generals is to bring this war to a close. That has not changed.
Deadline easily slip if a general says to you, we can't safely and responsibly move 1 to 2 brigades out a month?
And as I've said before, and this was true during during the heat of the primary, it was true when we posted this website, I have always said, and you can take a look at the language, that as Commander-in-Chief, I would always reserve the right to do what's best in America's national interests. And if it turned out, for example, that we had to, in certain months, slow the pace because of the safety of American troops in terms of getting combat troops out, of course we would take that into account. I would be a poor Commander-in-Chief if I didn't take facts in the ground into account. Right?
You just said that when you used the phrase "refined policies," you did not refer to the 16-month timetable. So does that mean you can tell us today that you will not change the 16-month timetable?
Here's what I can tell you. That I will bring our troops out at a pace of 1 to 2 brigades per month. And at that pace, we will have our combat troops out in 16 months. That is what I intend to do as President of the United States.